much because of all the kerosene here. So I'm not going to pace around as much. I'm very nervous because a lot of you know me. But you know what? I'm just your friendly neighborhood P&Ger. And I mean it when I say I'm friendly because I'm Canadian. What it means to be Canadian, aside from being friendly, is that we're taught about the environment from a young age. Recycling has been part of my childhood, and we were taught to take care of the environment. So I didn't think about this a lot because it was as natural as learning math in school. Before I continue, can I see a show of hands here? It's a little hard to see, but I can still see you. A show of hands here. Who here thinks that we should all protect the environment? I hope to see at least 600 hands here. And I think Mr. Winter would agree, right? Without the environment, none of us can survive. Not big cats, not P&G, not agency friends, none of us, right? And I'm sure that we can all appreciate environmental protection, even though we're not all environmentalists. So speaking of environmentalists, the first one I've ever encountered is probably my mother. So I think everyone's mother is an environmentalist because they're very mindful about wastage, and that we're always told that eat your food because someone else doesn't have enough. And that logic didn't strike me very well because even if I had eaten all the food on my plate, it won't fill their stomachs there, right? And despite the bickering, I still listened. My mother made sure that I didn't keep the tap running and that I would economize on using paper, electricity, and other resources. And my mother made sure those habits stuck. And oh boy, they sure did. Still, I knew nothing about environmentalism or resource scarcity. It wasn't until year 2008 when I realized that environmental sustainability is to be my life passion, the one cause I will continue to work for. The story I'm about to tell you is about how everything started. So this is beautiful Australia in the year 2008. It was my first business trip and also the commencement of my quest. Here I was, looking fierce, ready to conquer the world. And that at the back, that's actually the reason why I was sent to Australia. So imagine a younger me. I was told to go audit this cattle farm that's got its own slaughterhouse. And so every day you'd see me walking into the cattle farm, day in and day out, and jotting down all the slaughterhouse details. And this would all go into an audit report that I would later write. Day in and day out for 3 whole days. You can say that I had ample time to think about how meat was produced. Then it got me. I'm sorry about this gross image, but it wasn't the blood and gore that got me. It wasn't the animal cruelty either. The process was quick and relatively little physical agony was involved. What got me was that I realized so much resources was put into making those tantalizing beef slices that go into your steamboat hot pot. That immeasurable amount of fresh water and quality green feed is trucked into the farms each day, and that thousands of cubic meters of methane gas is generated by all the cows. And all this, it goes in a loop every single day for 3 whole years. That's the duration of time a cow is kept alive for. And after that, its carcass would then be chopped up and flown to your local supermarket as freshly packaged beef, conveniently on little trays for you to go home with for your hot pot, for your steamboat. All that for just 10 seconds of what we chew and savor. So it was that moment when I realized that 10 seconds of my consumption has so much impact on the unseen anterior processing. It was that moment when something so viral, so unstoppable started growing in my head. I asked myself this question: was it worth it? This newfound consciousness was awakened, and I could no longer ignore it. And I realized that my every habit, every choice affects the environment. So have we ever asked ourselves this question, that now that we know so much resources have been put into what we do and what we eat? And I asked myself, I didn't hate meat. I actually do like the taste of meat. But if I were to consume it for all the years to come and be burdened with the health effects, on top of knowing darn well now how much the environment has been silently chipping in to the real cost of producing that meat, I felt like I could go without it. I decided to take meat out of my diet for good. On the other hand, my career progressed in ways I could never have imagined. I worked for many industries in different countries. My past experiences have brought me to different ecosystems where I could learn more about this world that we extracted resources and consumed from. I was concerned about my role in these industries that manufactured what others consumed. And all these were just stuck in my head. It was confined in this little head of mine because I didn't dare tell anyone until I got into P&G, Hong Kong, 6 years ago. And as your friendly neighborhood P&G newbie, I was delighted to know how much we're allowed to innovate what we do and how we do things. And this is apparent in the R&D department. Can I see who's from R&D? From the R&D department, where innovation is our heart and soul. That's when I got a little bit more gutsy. What if I were to tell people what I was concerned about? What if I could make a difference? Now that's a scary thought. I decided to go ahead with it. I started building up a habit of chatting up anyone who would listen, telling them that, hey, I want to do environmental sustainability. And sure enough, I actually found many people who were like-minded. And after a while, I was actually given the responsibilities of sustainability for P&G Hong Kong and Taiwan. So these are smaller markets, but there's a disproportionately large amount of ideas that came out of the Taiwanese government, namely the Department for Environmental Protection. I received so many requests for collaborations for a wide array of projects. It could be a sponsorship, it could be collaboration requests for new product innovation, or even new ways to use our own product packagings. So I was very excited, and I wanted to go back and tell my business team about all these cool ideas, only to be told that all of them were not very feasible for a wide range of reasons. I was a little disappointed, but this was a great learning experience for me. At least I know what didn't work. And so after talking with more people and bouncing through many more ideas, I actually was told that there are others like me on the other side of the globe, in Cincinnati. So these like-minded P&Gers also wanted to propel environmental sustainability in the company. We shared one similar view, that environmental sustainability is not an option, and that it is definitely a value add for our businesses. And after extensive planning and tons of night calls, we were given the permission to launch what you see right now. It is actually the first crowdsourcing platform inside P&G. And we connected employees with projects and challenges with those who have sustainable solutions. This is called Latitude 91, the first ever P&G internal sustainability community. And the reason why it's called Latitude 91, some of us may know that there's only 90 degrees of latitude and longitude on the globe. So we set out to be the first, we set out to be the trailblazers that would bring back to the company innovations that are more sustainable. We now have members across the globe on every continent that are contributing the most valuable assets of all, their ideas on how to innovate the business in more sustainable ways. So join us and visit the site when you have time. And on the other hand, while managing Latitude 91 from Hong Kong, I boarded the plane with a one-way ticket to Singapore in February 2015. So I was localized here in the Singapore Innovation Center with a new role. I did not know what greatness had awaited back then. And in this much larger setting, I of course kept my habit of just speaking with anybody who would listen about my dreams and vision of sustainability. I was trying to look for people who were like-minded, who were like me. And sure enough, there were. There always would be. You just have to talk with enough people to find those who would eventually become game changers. One such game changer was very important. She introduced me to the vice president of the finance and accounting department in Asia Pacific. This person is important not just for the company's books, but also for the team he would later passionately sponsor. And as you can see here, it's actually the Singapore Sustainability Team. I know some of you are here. Thank you so much for coming. And this is the first ever country sustainability team in Procter & Gamble, and we're very proud of it. So from this gentleman, I was given the green light to put my vision into action. This is pretty awesome, isn't it? But it's just the beginning, I thought. Because sheer passion of talking about what I wanted to do and all my dreams won't make my dreams come true. I need the right skills for those. So at this point, I think it is borderline lunacy for me to enroll myself in a master's program when I was just given a double-hatting role in scientific communications. With a full-time course load and full-time work, I knew what I had signed up for. So I had to build up even more little habits like working on my papers at lunch hours and in between night calls with the US. Little habits like downloading my lecture notes onto the phone to read in the planes. And little habits like knowing the time zone of my school wherever I am, be it Cincinnati, Sydney, Bangkok, or Guangzhou. Little habits go a long way. And I'm happy to tell you that this surviving in between the crack in between the crushing boulders of work and school is about to come to an end soon. And that my master's is expected to be finished by this December. I've also just presented my first ever academic paper on public policy, on environmental public policy. Serendipitously, in an academic conference that was held in between my home and my school in the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy. I could not possibly be any luckier. I was also very fortunate that when I got to learn more about environmental sustainability and sustainable management, that I got to apply this knowledge into the newly founded Singapore Sustainability Team. We are not an interest group, and we are not a green lifestyle newsletter. We are not sending out organic bento recipes. What we are very, very ambitious. We wanted to put P&G in a leading position in terms of sustainable culture. Our first objective was to raise awareness about P&G's already existing sustainability initiatives and also personal accountability. Then we wanted to create a sustainable culture that is reflected in our people, our innovations, and our facilities. Ultimately, we want to form a model of a sustainability team that can be reapplied everywhere else in Asia Pacific or even globally. What the team started working on was a step-by-step approach to create something that's called culture shift. Oops. Okay, pretend you didn't see these guys. Culture shift, okay, which can be gradually achieved and induced in the organization with a lot of engagement-driving initiatives that I'm dying to tell you about. Some of you may have already seen them or participated in them. And we had quite a few of those in the past fiscal year. You may see yourself in these photos, as I mentioned. So some of the initiatives that we had, okay, were very, very colorful. We had active ones, such as the biodiversity trail walks. We had literally fruitful ones, such as the edible gardens outside the Singapore Innovation Center. Thank you very much for participating in these programs that we run. We also had one for our stomach and our health, which was the plant-based diet movement, Green Monday. We can see Suran's picture right there. And also, of course, our very own Earth Day events. So that was for the inside. What about the outside? Outside, we were very eager to communicate our sustainability efforts in NGO talks, in talks that are held by social enterprises and environmentalist groups. And we also spoke with university students in NUS and NTU in environmental sciences programs and also MBA programs. And most of all, we received this very prestigious certification. Both the Singapore Innovation Center and the general offices are now Eco-Office certified by the Singapore Environment Council. This is alongside local giants such as SMRT. And with all these initiatives, our team also blossomed into a 12-member strong team. Some of you are here. Can I see a wave of hands? Thank you so much for coming. So some of our members are here present with us today. They have contributed so much of their hard work and their own time for this. We are mothers, we are managers, we're scientists, we're millennials, new hires. Most of all, we had one thing in common. We had a sustainability lens in what we do. And we can all think about how to do things with the environment's welfare in mind, no matter what your role is. And speaking of that, the way that the Singapore sustainability team was conjured up, I was told much later that it is called something called entrepreneurship. I'm sure some of you have heard about this before. So according to Wikipedia, entrepreneurship is the act of behaving like an entrepreneur while working within a large organization. So if you have a cause that you're passionate for and that this cause aligns with the company's principles, you might want to work this into everything that you do. Some of you know me as sustainability girl because it's very much ingrained in everything that I do. I have a special diet. I carry around a steel straw and reusable cutlery. And I keep telling everyone about sustainability. So after relentlessly exercising our little habits of telling people about our visions and our dreams over and over, here I am doing this once again with you guys, telling you about my vision and what happened to it. This is only the beginning, and I'm very hopeful that one day I would have better results in environmental sustainability to share with you another time in the future. Thank you so much.